Game 3 of the quarterfinals of the AlphaDraft Challenger League. The winner of this match will move on to face Frank Fan Gaming tomorrow. The loser will have to try their luck against the top team, the Misfits. Of course, Ziggs and Xerath immediately banned out from Cloud9. It's Cloud9 and Legendary going head-to-head, both 1-1 now, off the back of a pretty impressive game from Impactful. Ziggs and Xerath once again taken away from Bishu. They don't want to give him a chance this game.
And I'm really interested to see what winds up getting through. If C9T bans Urgot again, like there we go. If Hecarim is left unbanned and they ban out the Kalista, then that's Hecarim to take. If Kalista gets banned here, that could be Hecarim right here for solo. So we'll have to see. Hecarim's been banned out every single game. Kalista's been highly contested. All these bans fairly standard for the series, except for the Ziggs, which we saw Bishu. Most damage in the game, almost as much damage as both Yasui and Lod combined last time around. But it might be the Sivir they're hovering over. I don't know, though. That Hecarim was banned every single game, and it's left open now if Legendary want to take it. Prioritizing the Sivir and taking it away from Impactful as he had a one-death game last game on that.
No surprises they want to deny that pick. Surprising it wasn't banned, but of course they want to shut down Bishu, and Bishu... Honestly, Impactful got the kills. Impactful made the initiations, but Bishu's a lot of the reason why those fights went in the favor of Legendary, doing so much damage from the back lines, chunking out Lod, chunking out Yasui pretty effortlessly with that superior range, and you can see his origins as a Nidalee spear, or as a Nidalee player, as he lands those bombs just as well as he used to land the spears.
A lot easier to hit those bombs, too.
Yeah, you get, I mean, they bounce a couple times. You get a couple chances. So, it'll be interesting to see what Bishu picks up here, and Acadian instantly locking in the Hecarim top. No hesitations. As you predicted, Rek'Sai picked up as well, and already... You know, we saw Dardoch be lethal on that Rek'Sai last game, so now the question is, what is Hard going to pick up, and how are they going to respond to this Hecarim?
Yeah, so the Rek'Sai pick I love because that was Dardoch being super aggressive on that champion and then being able to get his solo lanes advantages that they needed that they weren't able to secure in game one with a more passive Nunu pickup. So the Rek'Sai was able to get first blood. They didn't give it to Bishu, but they got it on Yasui, so Bishu had an advantage in that lane. Dardoch was able to eventually turn around ganks on Acadian in top lane too, turning 1v2s into 2v2s where they were picking up kills left and right because of that. The Rek'Sai pickup, he's also maybe being a little bit over aggressive, engaging down on some of these 5v5 fights that I'm not sure his team had to take, but his confidence is there, whereas on the Nunu pickup, he wasn't going for invades, he wasn't going for aggressive plays, so I love the Rek'Sai pickup from Legendary in this one, and the Hecarim pickup banned away in every single game. We'll see if Acadian's going to be able to wield that one. If he is able to be as successful as he is on some of his more pocket picks, it's going to be devastating if you're Cloud9 Tempest. But if that's a take away from solo and something that was left open on purpose, then Cloud9 Tempest, I mean, they're able to secure 2 picks right here. The Annie and Cassiopeia, that's what won them game number 1.
I mean, Annie, without a doubt, for Sheep is absolutely destructive. We'll have to see if, once again, Law Pally will opt for the Alistair here, opted for Nautilus in the previous game, and it worked out pretty well. Sheep, of course, on point in those early to mid-game engages, giving his team the advantage that they need. Yasui getting ahead right off the bat, not even having to worry about the weaker point in the game for that Cassiopeia pick. But with this much hard engage and this much magic damage already, it does give a lot of information over to the side of Legendary, and Yasui normally getting that last pick, but of course not going to get that luxury on blue side. Bishu will, however, so he's going to have the flexibility. Even if this cast wants to go top, Bishu is always going to have the option to counter pick here, and so Yasui may struggle in the mid lane if Bishu has something special up his sleeve.
Well, it looks like they're going to be last picking that one. It could still potentially be Cassiopeia top lane, so I like saving the mid lane pick for last. There's no reason not to pick up your support and AD carry in this position. They go back to the Alistar Lucian lane, and this is what they lost with in game number 1. Although it wasn't necessarily the fact that they lost in a straight 2v2 matchup, the lane swap has been coming in every single game for Cloud9 Tempest, and it's been initiated for them by them every single game. So clearly there's something they want to avoid, whether it's the fact that they want to try to shut down Acadian, or if they want to avoid Impactful going head-to-head against Lod. Game number 2, Impactful just sat in bot lane and had a free farm fest for his Sivir. If he's going to be able to get the same thing down on this Lucian, it's going to be a very powerful pickup for him because it's even more mobile and does even more damage sooner.
And already the last picks coming in for this Cloud9 lineup, and I mean, Cloud9 played patient last game. They waited for late game. They waited for power spikes. It looks like this game's going to be a different story, returning to their roots of an aggressive team. We see, I mean, we got the Sivir for the go button now. Gragas and Gnar locked in as well. You've got the explosive cask for engage or disengage, and you've got that Gnar in the Mega Gnar form to go with as well. And I mean, we called last game a bloodbath, but look at these lineups. Look at the absurd amount of engage potential on both sides. There's a Lulu, there's a Hecarim, there's a Rek'Sai, there's an Alistar on the opposite side, Gragas, Annie, Cassio, Gnar. Everyone wants to fight. There's not going to be any waiting around these objectives. Every dragon is going to mean a team fight.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know who has the more powerful kind of team fighting composition. If you're looking at the side of Legendary, they have the power pick in Hecarim. The home guard teleport is going to be massive. And if they have that during a dragon fight or they have that for a tower fight, that is going to be crucial for their damage output. But looking down the line, Lulu does provide an okay amount of damage, but she's picked up a lot for her utility. She has the slow, so she can supplement gank. She has the whimsy, so she can speed herself up or just polymorph somebody and turn them into a cute little animal during a fight. She has, of course, the wild growth to combo with the Hecarim charging in or with the Rek'Sai, or even so, just to protect this Lucian and kind of make it a protect the AD carry composition we talked about earlier. But a lot is going to fall down on Impactful's shoulders in this one. The Lucian damage is going to have to be key for the early stages of this game. And if the teleport is not available for Hecarim, if the telegraphing of the teleport home guard gank is there, that's a lot of the damage that Cloud9 Tempest can just avoid from their fight. And they still have the mobility. They still have the hard engage. They still have the ability to disengage with the Gragas cask. If Hecarim comes charging in with a home guard teleport and gets knocked away and then body slammed up by a Gragas or stunned by an Annie, boom, like we said, a lot of damage is gone there. So once again, it's going to be about picking the right engages if you're Legendary. Whereas on the side of Cloud9 Tempest, it kind of harkens back to game number one. Early game jungler to apply some pressure that can get his solo lanes ahead if they so choose to, and if they go for the lane swap situation, and a support that's going to provide some damage, but more importantly, crowd control to keep Lod safe.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see which one of these teams can execute here. A lot of pressure on Legendary, as we've talked about time and time again. Want to make an impact on this scene. Impactful, taking a lot of pressure on himself, as you said. This lineup very reminiscent of what SKT played in those finals to get themselves to qualify for MSI. A lot of early game damage, a lot of focus on getting ahead early game with a Hecarim instead of a Maokai this time around. But overall, still have to be careful with this composition. Need to get ahead early on. We'll have to see if they can do so. 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the spectator delay. Guys, this is the third game. This is it. A lot on the line for both these teams. Don't go anywhere except for wellplayed.org/giveaway. We'll be back in a few minutes, guys. All right, everybody, welcome back to the third and final game. It's going to be Cloud9 Tempest versus Legendary. These guys have both come a long way. Legendary able to dominate in the last game. Cloud9 doing so in a similar fashion game one, but here we are in game three. You know the lineups, you know the players, and you know the stakes. We're going to have to see exactly how it happens as Bishu already taking a lot of damage in this mid lane.
Yeah, and both of these teams, they got a lot to play for here. The winner is going to face off against Frank Fang Gaming in the next round of the playoffs, and the loser, they're going to wind up facing off against Misfits. So that's not necessarily a easy matchup either. So both these teams out to prove a lot in this one. Like we said, Legendary maybe even a little bit more to prove. They're the fresher face lineup in the challenger scene, going up against the favorite veterans of Cloud9 Tempest, and they really pushed into the limits there. That was a long game, going upwards of 40-something minutes in the last one, whereas when C9T did the trouncing, it was a 20-something minute surrender that was forced out of Legendary. So we'll have to see how both these lineups compose themselves going into this third game, just from a mental kind of preparation state. But Cloud9 Tempest in this one, going back to some of the power picks they had in the previous matchup, Cassiopeia in the mid lane, the Annie, of course, the Flash Tippers engagement, whereas on the flip side for Legendary, they've fallen back into this Lucian Alistar bottom lane. And like I said, the big thing that I'm keeping track of in this one is where the lane slot situation goes. And it looks like this time around, we're finally to get the two duo lanes clashing head to head.
First time we've had this. A lot of that's going to be because Solo does have that Gnar pick and is pretty comfortable in that Hecarim matchup, as we've seen in the past from him. We'll have to see exactly how well he can manage his rage and how well he can execute. But of course, we talk about a lot of pressure being on Legendary to prove themselves. Similarly on Cloud9, though, they're not exactly... They don't have the cleanest record. You know, they got disqualified from the challenger scene last year, and they don't want to lose out this early. They need to prove themselves. They've got that black mark on their record. They need to show that they are still a strong team, that they can win on their own merit after last year's controversy. And so far they've done a good job, but dropping down to this new team, this upcoming Legendary lineup would be tough for them to come back from. So there's a lot of pressure on both sides.
And Legendary isn't necessarily the newest of lineups. I mean, they do have some old faces of the challenger scene, Bishu, Impactful, and Low Poly in the bottom lane, but Dardoch and Acadian, kind of the fresh faces here. And we've seen some interesting picks out of Acadian in previous games. And this time around, he's on the, I'm going to call him solo queue and competitive powerhouse in Hecarim, going head-to-head against this Gnar pickup with standard lanes all across the board. We did actually see Impactful and Low Poly, the ones getting the early level 2 and the advantage in this bottom lane.
Sheep, though, throwing out a lot of harass. They're eager to push this one in, and we'll have to see exactly how this affects the jungle pressure. Both junglers mirroring each other's paths. Of course, Dardoch going to end up on the top side, though. Gragas is here in the bot lane. We may see an early gank. Going to have to be careful, though. Engaging on this Alistar is going to be tough.
Well, Lucian did use his Relentless Pursuit, but it doesn't look like Gragas has the best angle to enter from that one. We have seen a lot of early ganks from both of these teams in the mid lane, but we'll have to see if it's going to kind of switch focus here now that the focus had been on getting Lot ahead, and earlier it was through lane swaps, and game number 2 was through a multi-man tower dive and teleport usage. This time around, it looks like it might be through those early lane pressure given here by Hard. He just kind of showed up, but mostly all it does is, even though there's an early level 3 here from Impactful and Low Poly, they're afraid to try to press that advantage because they know the Gragas is nearby.
Pause coming out here right as that stun is going to land onto Impactful. Of course, have had a little bit of lag issues on the side of Cloud9. We'll hope that those get resolved shortly. This is a pretty perfect action to be trapped in. But just looking at the CS right now, you can see 13-22 the score. Impactful up by a significant margin. And we were wondering what the validity of this Lucian pick was and if it would be effective. And it looks like when it's given the opportunity to 2v2, or at least so far, he's doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, and the kind of combination of the Lucian and Alistar, you have the big tanky character, you have the ability to crowd control and hit somebody out of position with the headbutt pulverize. Then you have the Lucian, who has a massive amount of burst damage in the early game, going up against a Sivir who has a decent amount of damage, which she's able to proc her ricochet, but she's only going to be able to really get that based off of the attack, auto attack, reset combination, whereas Lucian, as soon as he uses an ability, he procs his own passive, so he's going to get that double shot and deal a lot of damage. And we'll have to see if it comes into factor right now.
Looks like he is going to make it out there. Pretend to tank the Boomerang Blade. Impactful not able to follow up on that one, so an excellently timed stun from Sheep. The Boomerang Blade match and that one as well. Impactful trying to get something back, but Sheep alone kind of just doing the damage necessary in these trades to help his lane come out on top. He's doing, though, could be in trouble. It could be the 2v2 in the mid lane. Dardoch Overextending, going down to Yasui. The last auto attack gonna secure that one, and now first blood and a double buffed Cassio in that mid lane. We were talking about this game being balanced on a knife's edge, 1-1, and already starting to turn in the favor of Cloud9, a slight lead to that Cassio, but this is exactly what it looked like last time Yasui got the pick.
Hard has held the first blood in every game of this best of 3, and twice it's been in that mid lane. First was an aggressive gank in game 1, and now this time it's a counter gank, which if you are on the side of Legendary, you kind of saw this coming. You saw Gragas in the river. There was a ward by the Dragon Pit. He had to go nearby that in order to get towards the river, but Dardoch tried to force the issue mid lane anyway, and now you've given first blood over to the Cassiopeia. Last game that you gave this one over to Yasui, he picked up a very early tier of the goddess and started stacking that up, and he got the Sarah's Embrace the same exact time he got a Luden's Echo, and it was a massive power spike for him. We'll have to see if Bishu's going to be able to kind of combat this one, because he doesn't have the same late game scaling power as the Azir pick had in game number 1.
You gotta keep in mind, of course, in the bot lane though, Lucian's still doing a pretty good job of keeping his farm ahead. Almost a 20 CS lead for him. Sivir starting to balance it out. She clears out the last of those creeps. A lot of pressure on the top side in favor of Cloud9 as well. So still relatively even. That gold difference mostly just going to mean a free early tier that got us for Yasui. So not too much power immediately. But we'll get him to that kind of Archangel Staff power spike that much sooner. Seraph's Embrace power spike. We'll have to see what he does with this power and if Hard can keep making plays across the map.
Yeah, like I said, Hard has been so proactive in these games. In game number 1, he had almost 100% kill participation. Even in game number 2, he was trying to force issue even on Nunu, but now in this bottom lane, a lot of damage going down onto Low Poly.
Low Poly just barely making it out, and once again, a pause. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We're just working through some connection issues. My guess would be, nope, not actually Law Pally. Law Pally actually that was no lag. That was just a little bit of a poor decision there to go in. Lucian, though, still with a pretty substantial farm lead. And in the mid lane, though, Cassio building one for herself. Sorry, continue.
No, I was going to say, one of the things about this Lucian against Alistar matchup we didn't have all the time to talk to about last time there was a pause because they came out and started fighting about it, is the fact that Alistar has the CC, Alistar is tanky, Alistar has a minor heal, but the burst damage coming out from Sivir and Annie, when you use the Ricochet, you stun somebody down with your Q and your W combination, you get the Boomerang Blade down, the massive burst damage coming out from Annie rather than coming out from Lucian, and the fact that they can pick and choose who to use it on, such as right now Low Poly is the low target, so that may be who they focus on. The ability to kind of switch targets and still provide just as much damage makes this lane extremely difficult for, even though Lucian slightly outranges Sivir, Annie outranges everybody in this one.
Yeah, definitely tough. Of course, we did see her range gonna get maybe nerfed soon, although Sheep gonna have to flash out of that one. Dardoch already making his presence known on the bottom side of the map, but Gragas looks like he may be making a return appearance into the mid lane. And with that flash down, it's going to be tough for Andy to survive, especially as Alistar starts to approach level 6, just now hitting level 5. And it seems like whatever lane hits level 6 first is going to have a huge advantage, just a massive engage advantage.
And right now, it looks like that Impactful has a slight experience advantage over Laud, and they both have the same amount of creeps left over, so could potentially be something from Impactful and Low Poly as soon as they hit level 6. But I mean, the all-in potential from an Annie and Sivir is way higher than the all-in potential from the Unbreakable Will coming out from Alistar and the Culling coming in from Impactful. We can even see the constant pressure being put down by Sheep to make sure that both of these players stay relatively low. So if Tibbers does wind up coming at level 6, they're going to be able to blow them up.
Yet another mid lane gank. Looks like just some flashes traded back. The flash body slam not quite paired well enough from Hard. Not going to find that engagement. Dardoch making it out of there, and Hard blowing his flash in the process. So neither side gaining too much there, but obviously a lot of focus on this mid lane as Yasui may go down here. He is going to get knocked up. Acadian on the way in as well. Onslaught of Shadows used beautifully to pick up that kill. I was worried about Yasui getting ahead. It looks like now we have to worry about the Hecarim as he has finished those home guard boots and is going to walk back to that top lane confident after that first kill.
And that's something that we didn't see in game number 1 from Legendary, because both of their solo lanes got behind. But Acadian, we've known him to play roaming top laners like the Rengar pickup, and the Hecarim here with his movement speed is no different from there. He's able to move down from that lane as kind of even, if not slightly ahead in some of these situations, and he's able to make plays across the map, such as providing relief for that mid lane that needs to be going back in favor of Bishu. So they pick up a kill on Yasui, a much needed kill at that, and give Bishu a little bit of breathing room in that matchup.
Impactful finally able to find a time to back and pick up that BF sword for himself. And Bishu, of course, happy to have a little bit more pressure and a blue buff backing up as well. Looks like Yusui may be able to grab his own as hard at work on that one.
It's been a hard day's night. I'm
try not to make the puns, but it's like when Amazing was a jungler and you wanted to talk about his performance when he was doing well. It's just not going to happen. Solo, though, could find an engage in the top lane.
Yeah, he's going to go Mega once getting the stun down, but just providing a bit of pressure here. Both these guys kind of bounce off of each other. Like, Solo's going to be able to harass down upon Acadian, and then when the Mega Gnar comes out, he does have the burst damage. If he jumps in on Acadian, Acadian's going to stack up that Rampage. He's going to start trading some damage back and forth. Both these guys just kind of sitting there and waiting for good teleport usage. One of the things that Solo can do is Solo can stay in lane and pressure this tower, whereas if there's an objective that's going to go down on the map, if Acadian wants to get the most out of his damage, he has to be in base to do so. So the Gnar having the staying pressure in that lane, I guess we'll call it, is going to be able to deal a little bit more in a tower pressure sense from that one, but otherwise they're just going to wind up bouncing off of each other.
We talked about this game. We expected teams to fight for every single objective, but neither team has pushed for anything yet. No towers, no dragons. This is game 3. There's a lot on the line, and it looks like neither team ready to commit to anything that could swing against them. A lot of patient play coming in from both these sides. The bot lane's relatively even. A CS lead for Lucian for sure, but no huge itemization advantage. The mid lane relatively even as well. Top lane, though, Dardoch on the backside, gonna knock up Solo. Solo gonna have to use that ultimate to push him back to the Gnar, saving his life. The beautiful knockoff, stopping him from double bouncing out. And Solo so low now.
See, they just come so easy. It's not that hard after all, is it?
Oh my god.
We did see a lot of pressure going in mid lane, as you see with a flash ult. Oh, but Bishu just kind of turns around and looks away from that one. I was going to say, without a Nunu in this game, the early Dragon hadn't been being pressured, but with Hard showing himself in top lane, with him being so far away and no Void Rush tunnel available to go nearby, Gragas able to go over the wall and sneak that Dragon with all the pressure being put down in the 1v1 mid lane and the 2v2 bot lane.
Yeah, and despite Dardoch with beautiful play on the top side to get that gank off, not gaining too much there, although Acadian still actually struggling to trade here. That Hyper doing so much damage as Gnar approaches Mega yet again. So they gave up Dragon for not a whole lot. The gold still slightly in the favor of Legendary. We'll have to see if they can keep it that way. They are warding pretty aggressively, but still weren't able to stop that Dragon attempt. Good on Hard to pick it up. And a relatively even, still relatively slow-paced game, despite, I mean, that ultimate burned in the mid lane along with the flash. Yusui, maybe a little too eager for blood. And
one of the things I want to just keep in the back of everybody's mind is Impactful in game number 2 had a free CS lane in the lane swap situation, and Lod was being camped for and trying to get put ahead, but did wind up dying once or twice. Now that Lod is being denied in this 2v2 matchup, already 23 CS deficit at this point in time, is he going to be as much of a factor as he from the Ren stacks? He isn't going to have the same amount of power by just getting 2 items. He is going to need a team to kind of supplement his on the hunt and let him kind of charge in with them to provide a lot of damage. So he's really going to rely on Yusui getting ahead, and he's really going to rely on Solo in some of these fights. We'll have to see if there's a teleport used here at all.
Oh, Tibber's not going to land the stun onto Impactful, an unfortunate circumstance, but Hard is on the backside. The Gragas may find his way into the fight. Yet on the hunt still available. Sheep finding the stun onto 2, but the exhaust going down. Law Pally knocking Sheep back in, but Sheep not going to go under the turret. Law barely making it out of that one. Dardoch on the way. The TP used as well. Acadian grabbing one for himself. That TP I didn't see coming. Solo has the ultimate. Just going to push it back once again. Only a disengage option here. Boomerang Blade coming out. Acadian could be in trouble. He doesn't have the follow-up on the side of Cloud9. Legendary putting themselves ahead yet again. Home guard Hecarims just so strong.
It was just a little disorganized, the call there from Cloud9 Tempest. You said they got the Tibbers, but it didn't stun anybody. After that fight had already gone through and they blew the Annie ultimate, the flash incinerate stun on the 2, and then the on the hunt was popped, but Gragas wasn't even in motion at that point in time. We had Dardoch coming in from the lane, and at that point in time it was kind of a weird engagement where one lane still had all their ultimates and the other one had blown them and had not really gotten anything for it, and then the double teleports coming, and like I said, we had to keep our eyes on that one, and Hecarim being able to teleport behind, whereas Gnar had to teleport in the middle of the fight. He was able to just come up the side, pick up a nice cleanup kill on Sheep, Gragas did have a good explosive cast to disengage and keep Sivir alive in that situation, but so much was blown there by both sides, and it was massive advantages for Legendary.
Legendary building small CS leads in the bottom lane. But everywhere else, they're suffering at least a little bit. Gnar starting to farm a lot more comfortably, but Hecarim will make a lot more plays across the map as he clears out that Krug camp for himself. Lod could be in trouble again. It looks like they're not slowing down yet. Sheep going to try to disengage here. Lod still could be in trouble. Brayseeker available. Going to get blocked out by Sheep. Lod will make it out with his life, but already Cloud9 falling behind on the bottom side of the map. And these three now pushing in for that tower, and they may be able to take it.
Yeah, Lod is doing a good job of not dying and getting further behind, but he's also not having success getting put ahead. Like, we saw Cloud9 Tempest devote a lot of resources due to the weird communication in that fight. Lod wasn't able to get anything out of that. He didn't die, but there's no kills and no assists. Now he's lost the tower, and it's almost a 40 CS advantage in favor of Impactful in that lane. Yes, Solo was able to push down the tower and equalize it in the top lane, but now you have two top laners who are relatively even. Akadia maybe even slightly ahead because of the kills he got mid lane and bottom lane. Your mid laner doesn't have as much of an advantage as you would have thought because he did get killed, and their bottom lane is just so far behind. Next Dragon at 1.5 minutes. We'll have to see if anybody even bothers contesting it. It will be Dragon number 1 for the side of Legendary, which isn't the biggest boost in stats, and only number 2 from the side of C9T. And I don't think they can really contest. They're going to lose another tower or two here too.
This is just Legendary. Once again, we talked about them when they play their game, they look so confident, and right now this is looking a lot like their game. A 2K gold lead, 15 minutes in. It's been a little bit more patient than we expected. They're moving down now, Dragon spawning in 1:20. Not sure if they have that timer. We'll have to see as they move forward. Jungler and support both backing off here. Cloud9 more than content to try to recoup some of their farm loss. The bot lane is clearly suffering. That difference mostly manifesting, or almost exclusively manifesting, in those Berserkers grieve as their relative gold pools unspent are about the same. Lucian with about a 200 advantage. Will be able to finish the Infinity Edge when he backs, though, so it could be a massive power spike in this next fight.
So the interesting thing here is the kind of phases that Legendary has gone through in this best of 3 series. Game number 1, they did get crushed, and a lot of it was the early map pressure applied by Hard on C9T, getting the solo lanes ahead. Then in game number 2, they adapted and picked up their own early jungler in the Rek'Sai, which they now have in game number 3, and they're able to not only get their own solo lanes ahead, but help start it, like, move around the map, and slowly but surely in like a 45-minute grind fest, we're able to outmaneuver C9T. Now in this game, they got their own map moves going down quickly and counter games coming in too.
Hard, though, may just survive the perfect engage there. Law Pally, though, gonna get knocked out. Wild Growth used on him as well. Yasui exhausted, but only for another second. Is gonna get that kill for himself. Dardoch, though, coming in. The ult, not enough. Yasui flashing over the wall. Bijou more than happy to grab a kill for himself. Impactful going down on the opposite side. Bijou barely able to live. Gnar coming in with the boomerang. May not find it. Hard with the barrel. Bloodbath here as both teams trade back and forth. Solo building up that rage. He may transform here. He will, finding the Gnar into the wall. Dardoch gonna make it out of that one with his life. Just barely. Cloud9 now poised to pick up the second dragon in a 3-for-1 exchange in the most split fight we've ever seen, but masterful display there from Cloud9.
Then I was just saying Legendary was going from like being like disorganized to helping each other to having good rotations on the map, and then I was gonna say they're picking their fights better, but they overextend to try to pick up a kill on Hard. After the Annie support comes in, they should just disengage from that one, but instead they try to pick up a kill on an already extremely low jungler. They're not able to seal the deal, and in doing so, Impactful gets caught out moving up from bot lane by Lod, and they're able to wind up picking up a kill. Then they switch focus onto Yasui, and Yasui is able to stay alive, get the distance, flash over the wall, and get Bijou extremely, extremely low. Then it was just cleanup duty for Lod at that point, because Legendary, they basically lost both their carriers at that point, and they weren't able to seal the deal on any of those kills.
But it just kept going, too. Solo turning to Mega Gnar right at the perfect point, using that Gnar, throwing that Hecarim into the wall, getting the kill when it came down to it. And Cloud9, I mean, it was the skin of their teeth that they won that game. This game, still, as we said, on a knife's edge. But when it came down to it, Cloud9 was the team that showed up in that engage. 18 minutes in, the gold now even after that display, and now a 2-dragon advantage in the favor of 9. Only 18 minutes in, 8 kills, lots of aggression here.
We do have to kind of be a little bit reserved, though, because this is sort of what happened last game. The kills were going down in the lane that Lod was in, and it was a little bit swapped up for this one, but Cloud9 Tempest had a 2-0 Dragon advantage, and at the third Dragon is where Legendary started to turn things around. I'm still not convinced that Legendary has a better team fight, but they still had that a massive amount of burst damage factor coming in from the Hecarim teleport home guard fight. Oh man, you see we actually used his ultimate in the mid lane there too.
Impactful may have picked the wrong fight there, losing about half his health to Hard. That Gift of the Toadstool, I believe it's called, that buff coming through pretty big there as he rips through his own life bar, the double tap passive from Lucian. Not working out in his favor that time, combined with the barrel and the body slam. But no major cooldowns used on either side. They're both going to walk away from that one. Yusui, though, as you mentioned, that petrifying K's. He's just desperate to catch out Bishu here, trying to find an advantage, but not needing to too much, at least at this point, as we see Aspect of the Serpent power up. Now going to get a little bit more cooldown reduction, as well as AP here.
We're going to have to see now where Cloud9 Tempest is going to really shift their focus. They have the ability to catch somebody with the On the Hunt, but like you said, Petrifying Gaze being down means they're not really going to be able to just lock up somebody and kind of siege down on the tower. The anti-stun is available, the Flash Tibbers is up, so they could potentially look for a pick on somebody in the jungle. They do have to be very careful because they have the saving grace of the Lulu ultimate, and then the re-engage potential coming in from a Hecarim is going to be massive. So we'll have to see where they choose to get their engage and who's going to be a bit of the aggressor here. Legendary has already taken down 2 of the 3 outer towers. The last one would have to be going up towards that top lane. They'd be seeing a lot of pressure. Their mid lane tower is already extremely low, down below half, and the bottom lane tower yet to really be touched on that side. But giving up that amount of map pressure by opening up the mid lane isn't what you want to do if you're Legendary. So what we might just wind up seeing here is what we kind of saw in game number 1, I believe it was, where 4 people are in mid lane. They're kind of throwing things back and forth and clearing out ways until an objective presents itself on the map.
Obviously, we talked about Dragon being the important thing that these teams were going to fight over. It hasn't really been Dragon yet, but they've fought near Dragon in random skirmishes across the map, so clearly a lot of fighting. We'll have to see with 3rd Dragon on the line, potentially for Cloud9, if they finally find a full 5-on-5 engagement. Big point, though, is going to be that Triforce finished up for Hecarim on the top side of the map. It's a massive spike to Acadian's damage.
And that is a large chunk of damage now on the Hecarim here, completing the Trinity Force. It's going to be kind of the completion of the running people over with the home guard teleport combination. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to catch anybody out of position with this one. But another thing is you need to have really solid ward control to make use of that Hecarim teleport gang. And unless it's by the mid lane right now, Cloud9 Tempest has done a really good job of clearing out wards by the Dragon Pit area and making sure there's nothing in their red side jungle either. So not a lot of places for that Hecarim to really teleport in that aren't going to be absolutely telegraphed. So if you're Legendary, you're kind of biding your time and waiting to get one of those really good engagements. And if you're Cloud9 Tempest, you're just avoiding them right now and trying to farm yourself up, making sure you press this 2 Dragon advantage. Because technically, if both teams were to get into a tower pushing scenario, Cloud9 Tempest with the 2nd Dragon buff would be able to deal a little bit more damage in that trade.
And I mean, you got to think about these 2 teams too. You've got Gnar, who actually has a decent amount of attack speed, especially at this point in the game, and Sivir with On the Hunt available as well. So they do have a lot of potential to kind of speed and run down these towers. On the opposite side, Lucian has the double tap solo though, trading so well. I mean, we talked about Hecarim having the advantage, but Hard, he's gonna get knocked away there. I was ready for the engage. I was ready for the fight, but it looks like a little bit of a misstep there on the headbutt pulverized combo from Loppally.
We see Acadian going back to base right now, so he has his teleport available, but Dragon is not going to be up for about another 50 seconds. Gnar has his teleport as well, and he just wound up using his own Mega, so it looks like both these top laners, Gnar might make his way down towards the Dragon Pit area, but we'll have to see this one. Teleports are going to be crucial. Like I said, ward coverage now being reestablished by Legendary means that they are going to potentially have the Hecarim teleport home guard initiation that they're going to need to just erase either Lod or Yasui from this fight.
I mean, Heliport, come on, he's like a helicopter when he spins the rampage thing. He's coming in on the
Corky,
teleport.
Yeah, Corky.
Sheep going in though. We are going to find the engage. An instant burst of aggression coming in for Cloud9. Did not expect that fight whatsoever. The TP now coming in from Acadian. Acadian still with the home guards. May try to find his way back in. Has the on shadows. It looks like they're just going to try to disengage here. The speed shrine helping Loppally make it out of this one. Gnar is available. May try to find his way in. Loppally pushing him back though. has the flash available as well. They have to be careful. Pally will give his life for this, but may be able to disengage. Cloud9. We talked about Sheep on Annie. We talked about Sheep in those engages, and now with On the Hunt available, he is instantly able to flash into that backline, throw down that bear, and win his team the team fight.
Bishu being caught in the mid lane was what Cloud9 Tempest was looking for. Like I said, a successful teleport gank from Hecarim would have been what the side of Legendary were looking for. And Bishu decided he was going to step in the mid lane and wave clear, but everybody from C9T was already moving towards the dragon. They just pop the On the Hunt and boom, catch him out of position in one swift blow, and they're able to capitalize and get the dragon. We saw the teleport Hecarim gank coming in, and because they lost their mid laner, because it was a 4v5 situation, all they could do was run away at that point. So that's a wasted teleport, and more importantly, Solo still has his available.
Yeah, this could be a huge difference here. Solo, of course, already trading confidently with Acadian, now only going to do so more as he has a movement speed bonus to kind of chase down that pony, as well as this Black Cleaver, which he's had finished for a while. We'll have to see how well that works out for him in the trades to come. In the mid lane, a growing item discrepancy. Going to see Seraph's Embrace now finished and fully stacked from Yasuli, along with the Death Cat. Bishu only with the Chalice and the pieces. Bot lane mostly even as well, but you talked about a massive CS lead for Lucian. Oh, it's still there, but Sivir now ahead in items.
Yeah, and Sivir has kills and assists to her name. Like we said, Lob was doing a really good job of not dying, which didn't set him any further behind than the lane was already putting him. And because of this, he was able to pop out On the Hunt, stay alive in a lot of these fights, pick up some crucial kills and assists. And like you said, it's transferred into some items and items for himself. Static Shiv and Infinity Edge, as well as those Berserker Greaves, matching the Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and Berserker Greaves now from Lucian. So on relatively even footing, despite still being at a 30 to 40 CS deficit at points in time. And a lot of this is coming because Cloud9 Tempest, they've kind of come together in this one, and they have better engagement capabilities. Although, as I say that, she looked like he might be getting caught trying to ward there, but he is going to be able to get out.
A beautiful Glitter Lance from Bishu on that one, actually. Able to grab that, as well as a nice steal coming in from Impactful. Using the quick help picks, throwing out the Glitter Lance as well, using the Scuttle Crab to his advantage. But Sheep, look at how fast this guy is with those mobility boots. Distortion available as well. He'll have Flash up in just a few seconds. On the Hunt. And we have to be ready at any moment for Cloud9 to go in here. They were kind of playing patient in the early game, but now that Sheep has those boots and has Talisman of Ascension as well, I mean, this guy is going to engage a fight, and there is nothing you can do to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, they're Cloud9 Tempest, so it's kind of like a storm, but instead of just like brewing and slowly rumbling in, they just come out of nowhere. So it's almost like a Cloud9 Blitzkrieg at this point, if that makes sense. But they kind of pop the Talisman, they have the mobility boots. As soon as you get a Flash Tibber stun, that's it. They can melt down that one target. Yasumi's going to be able to provide a lot of damage. We talked about the power that Sivir can provide with the Boomerang Blade and the auto attack reset on her Ricochet. It's going to be a lot of damage onto one of these squishy targets, and we saw last time it burst through Bishu and his Wild Growth. Bishu now has completed his Death Catch. He's got more AP for more HP coming out from that ability, but still, that's where the advantages from C9T come in. I don't think they want to necessarily walk into a fight that Legendary has set up and is able to utilize that Hecarim teleport gang, but then again, the Hecarim teleport gang is still on cooldown for like another 90 seconds, so they're just able to move around the map and push back Legendary. Legendary are too afraid to engage at this point.
And look at the vision control on the top side, present for Cloud9. We saw them kind of sneak. Uh-oh, Yasui could be in trouble. No, never mind. Never mind. Getting a little excited. Ready for the engage, but there's not enough damage there. Even though the engage has to keep Yasui on his toes, but it looks like we might see them once again go for a Baron here. You talked in Game 1 about Cassio just ripping through that Baron pretty effortlessly. We saw them sneak a Baron in Game 1. Not quite so sneaky this time around. It looks like Legendary a lot more ready for it this time, but definitely still an option. We'll have to see if they go for it.
And we kind of fallen back, well, this screen looks familiar, but we've kind of fallen back into the point where Cloud9 Tempest are continuously shoving out these waves, and like I said, as long as they don't have the Hecarim teleport gank available, they're not really afraid. Legendary's too afraid to really go for a all-out engagement because I don't think they have the superior 5v5 fight. A Tibber stun, the Gragas barrel, the Gnar transforming in the middle of a fight. There's so many things from C9T that just scream team fight for me that Legendary doesn't want to walk into unless they have their own kind of trump card in that engagement. So you're going to see Legendary trying to fall back, trying to clear out these ways and keep the map pressure pushing towards C9T. But Cloud9 Tempest, as soon as one of those people from the side of Legendary overextends, as soon as Bishu's caught moving from a brush into lane to try to clear out some minions, or if Dardoch's kind of caught out trying to tunnel away and put a ward down deeper into the enemy side of the jungle, that's going to be where they hit the Omni Hunt, they turn on the ghost switch, and they run at the enemy team and try to melt somebody down. If you can force a 4v5 situation, Legendary has no choice but to back away there.
And it's impressive that Cloud9 have the confidence to just press that go button. It's impressive that they can keep just forcing those engages because, I mean, it's hard. This is game 3. A lot on the line here for Cloud9, a lot to prove. And, I mean, the Misfits are excellent. And while I think both of these teams would like to prove themselves against the Misfits, they'd rather do it in the finals than in the semis. And going head-to-head with them early on is going to be tough. They may be able to find a win, but Frank Fang Gaming, despite their own strengths, probably considered an easier matchup. So a lot weighing on both these teams. Both of them would probably rather fight Frank Fang than the Misfits at this point, especially Alex Leach in that mid lane. But Bishu and Yasui still going to have to go toe-to-toe with each other before they worry about the games tomorrow.
Yeah, and both of these guys have also had a lot of pressure from their respective junglers. Dardoch and Bishu have a surprising amount of synergy after showing what was not necessarily the most of it in Game 1. Games 2 and 3 have really kind of been more about their own kind of duo synergy and picking up some earlier kills on Yasui in the mid lane, despite giving away 1 or 2 in the process of doing so. But really, C9T has revolved around the map pressure that's been generated by Hard on some of these earlier game junglers. The Nunu didn't have the same kind of effect. His Rek'Sai in Game 1 and the Gragas this time around have definitely been forces to be reckoned with, even kind of going toe-to-toe against Acadian trying to split push his bot lane. But Acadian now has teleport available, and Gragas, last time I checked, junglers don't take teleport, so that means Legendary can try to make a move, even if it's just establishing vision control over this Baron Pit area. It's something that C9T had been trying to deny them for the past 2 or 3 minutes that they're now just getting because of that.
Well, good on them to capitalize on this. Legendary moving in slowly but surely. Still have to be careful. Solo is pretty powerful right now on this Gnar pick. They have to be careful about that Black Cleaver, especially combined with this Sivir. Of course, neither team making too many moves here. Pretty much just have to watch Sheep. Sheep is going to be the one to initiate, the one to force these fights, and with Solo quickly running out of Mega Gnar, I doubt we'll see a fight from Cloud9 quite yet, but the split push efforts from Acadian only going to result in a very small amount of tower damage. Neither team able to find an edge quite yet, but we talked about it over and over again. Dragon up in 10 seconds. This is an objective both teams can comfortably take if left unattended. And it looks like
Acadian's sitting in base right now, so they have the home guard, teleport, helicopter gang, whatever it is.
Valley could be in trouble. Unbreakable Will going to be used, going to be able to make it out of that one. They may try to fight in this tunnel. Hecarim TPing in on the backside. This could be the fight. On the hunt going to be used. Sorry, not on the hunt. It's going to be that thing. Yasui going down. Not quite. Knocked into the wall. The wombo combo. Acadian on the backside. Managing to pick up one, but Yasui and Solo single-handedly carrying the team fight. Petrifying Gaze. Gnar, a double kill to Yasui. And despite dropping Laud, they come out on top. A 5-for-1 exchange. Now the Baron for Cloud9. They wanted to prove themselves too. They wanted to prove that they were the better team and challenger. And in a single instant, Yasui and Solo did it as they descend upon Baron.
Solo had such a massive Gnar into the wall in that fight, and that's what really turned things around. Because of the Gnar, and because it locked up so many members of Legendary, 3 members peeled backwards for Laud. Even though Laud did eventually wind up going down to Acadian, he had to use everything, and in doing so, there were still multiple members from C9T left alive, and because Solo and Yasui duoed the rest of the team and got them down solo and did so much damage in that fight, the rest of Cloud9 Tempest just came in and played janitor duty as soon as the threat of the Hecarim was gone. A massive, massive fight for C9T, a Baron buff, a 4th Dragon going in their favor. Massive momentum swing, and this is going to be hard pressure Legendary to recover from that single fight.
In a single instant, a 7k gold lead established, 12-4 now the kill score, and you can't say it enough. 4-man Petrifying Gaze, 4-man Gnar ultimate. That Gnar was beautiful, and Yasui does so much damage. If you give him 4 or 5 seconds of hard CC, he will kill an entire team, as we saw there. And Legendary cannot afford to make another mistake. One more is all it's going to take to knock them out of this. and Cloud9 looking incredibly dominant.
That Gnar was still just...
I mean, 4-man Petrifying Gaze into Gnar, that was the craziest ultimate combo I have ever seen. We're talking about Bishu and Acadian, the Yasuo Orianna Wombo combo team. Just got a taste of their own medicine.
Now with this Baron buff, Cloud9 Tempest, they're going to be looking to try to push down on these inner towers here. They have all the outer towers to themselves. Cracking this ring of inner towers proved to be difficult for Legendary last time when they had the short-range Sivir, and they had a Ziggs on their team at that point in time too, but it looks like instead there's a fight.
Sui on the backside, though, won't be able to come for this one. Lawpally not going to find the engage quite yet. Sheep going to find it, though. Going to go in as they're getting taken down. A beautiful cast. Acadian trying to find something back, but Lot is too healthy. And Yasui just going to casually 2v1 here on the backside. So powerful. Solo says, don't worry, I'll finish that one up. And Cloud9 now looks ready to end the game. GG being called. Cloud9 will face Frank Fang Gaming tomorrow. A dominant display, and Legendary, after a good game 2, got destroyed in this game 3.
They had a good game 3 as well, but 2 swift team fights. It was the difference between a established